Alright, I'm here in Hollywood at Hollywood Brazilian Jiu Jitsu with Sean. He's the owner and the head black belt here. Sean, why don't we start with you? What is your background with martial arts and Jiu Jitsu?
My background in martial arts is, I started when I was 9 years old. I think everybody has a story, pardon my rotator cuff, hurts a little bit. Everybody has a story about Bruce Lee, how they got started in martial arts. Myself, I was a young kid and I saw Elvis Presley on stage doing Suspicious Minds. And he was doing that, we're caught in a traffic parking, doing that, and it was a kata, and he had that big jumpsuit on that looked like a gi. And I asked my dad, and he said, yeah, Elvis trains Kempo karate with Ed Parker. And so I had to start in martial arts. The only thing down the street was in a strip mall. It was a taekwondo studio. So I started when I was 9 years old. And lo and behold, later in life, I was at a karate studio in the Palisades. And some guy came in and he started putting mats down on the hardwood floor. And I saw the patch and it said Rickson Gracie. I thought it was Rickson at the time. And I asked him, I said, I noticed the Gracie name, any relationship to Hoist? And he said, yeah, my friend, he's my blood. I was like, wow, you're related to Hoist Gracie. That's impressive. I had no idea who Rickson was. And I said, I've always wanted to train grappling. And he goes, man, and he walked in the back and he came out with the gi and he threw it to me. He goes, man, put the gi, man, you got to train tonight. It's going to be good, man. I thought, wow, I've never done grappling at all, but okay, yeah, it'd be good. And so I went and I took the class. Henry Akins was there, still a very dear friend of mine today, and his younger brother, Matt Akins, who's about 135 pounds soaking wet. Henry was a purple belt at the time. Matt Akins was 135 pounds and a blue belt, which is the first colored belt you get in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was actively competing, doing triathlons at the time, 170 pounds. And I thought, okay, this guy's 135. If that's the first colored belt you get, because of my experience in all other martial arts, the first colored belt, if you take an athletic guy off the street that outweighs him, if it's an even match, you'd have some faith in that martial art. So I thought, if we stalemate in this grappling stuff, I'll be impressed with this martial art. Well, needless to say, I got a comprehensive butt kicking by Matt Akins. He choked me from every conceivable position, ankle lock, arm lock, in a very nice way, not mean. But, there's two types of people in the world. The kind of type of person that's like, well, in a fight I would have groin shot and eye gouged and elbowed and all of this. And the type of person that's like, no. I got decisively dominated. What do I need to exchange with you to have this power over another man? And so literally I camped out at Hickson's for the next handful of years. I was completely obsessed. That's how I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, by a severe butt kicking that was an epiphany to me as far as combative science. And I've been intrigued and overwhelmed and addicted ever since.
Nice. And then, so how long did you train before you got your black belt?
Train before black belt. It's an interesting question because a lot of people say, well, it takes, minimum of 10 years, sometimes 15 years. It all depends on the mat hours. It's like, a lot of people say, well, wow, that's crazy. BJ Penn got his black belt in 4 years or whatever it took, but he camped out at the academy. He's training 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I was kind of the same way. Not nearly as quick as BJ Penn, but I got my black belt in 7 years. But that 7 years was literally at least averaging, including days off for injury and traveling, because I have a day job as well, averaging more than an hour a day. Because I kept logbooks and everything. When you average that out, most days are like 3 and 4 hours. It's over the course of, to this day, I've trained like more than an hour a day. So it's kind of, when you think of like how much time you've dedicated to one thing, it's I have a lot of time invested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it doesn't come out of my need to pursue a certain goal. It's just because I'm completely addicted to it and I absolutely love it. It's like the age-old adage, your dad says, do something you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I really don't consider it working. I love teaching, I love training, I love every aspect of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It has overwhelmed my life and I embrace it wholeheartedly.
You're one of the luckiest guys here then.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Alright, so then let's talk about that, because right now you're working very hard at spreading Jiu-Jitsu and teaching it here. So let's talk about your academy. We can kind of do a tour here.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I opened it, almost 10 years ago. Full service academy. We have an Olympic judoka teaching our judo program, a Division I college wrestler teaching our wrestling program. Obviously, we have an unparalleled lineage as far as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu goes. We also have CrossFit. You can see we have undulation ropes. We have a world champion teaching our Muay Thai and kickboxing program. We have climbing ropes. We have 6 pull-up bars. We have rings. We have medicine bags. And right here, one of my students who teaches the farm, we call the farm, it's a 6 a.m. class. The reason we call it a farm is because the only people up that early are people training at the farm or people that are growing something that we can eat later. We're having a platform. He's also a construction guy, a contractor. And rather than what I'm going to call a drawbridge put in here, it's a 14-foot by 14-foot Olympic powerlifting station. So we have balance plates and everything. There's going to be 3 barbells, a full plate system. We have kettlebells over in the other corner. So it's a real full service with CrossFit. The classes start at 6 a.m. But by the time we leave here at night, it's usually at the earliest 10 p.m. So the door is kind of always open at HBJJ. So, but like I said, it's something I absolutely adore and love. So there's worse places to be.
Definitely. And we were talking a little bit earlier about just the different demographic that you have here. And so you cater to kids, as seen by the little dragon pads over there.
Yeah, we have a wonderful
families.
Kids program, man. And I got to tell you, that's probably the most fulfilling aspect of this. I mean, when a kid first walks in the door, I mean, we start a program at 4 years old. Depending on his attention, his focus, maybe sometimes they can start at 3. And they're going through a lot of the movements that one day they will recognize as being Brazilian Jiu Jitsu movements, like the hip movement and stuff. So whenever I teach an arm lock, whenever they're 8, they realize, oh, this is a hip movement I've been doing for 5 years now. They don't know that they're doing, per se, the movements that were incorporated in an arm lock, but when they're 8, they realize, wow, I've been doing this my whole life. So it's functional recognizability in the movement. There's something so special when you see a kid come in and he doesn't even make eye contact, and he gives you the wet fish for a hand. How you doing? I'm going to train. And then after a month, he's like, how you doing, Professor Flanery? Good to see you. You're like, wow. I mean, it just changes these kids. When they walk in the door, they can't even hold their body weight on the rope. Cut to 2 months later, they're bing, ringing the bell, dropping all the way down, and they're 4. It's kind of it's crazy. I would have killed to have gotten into it at that age. I mean, I see the change that it makes. The parents daily talk about it. It changes the way that they deal with bullying. It changes the way that they address their teacher in the classroom. It really, really alters their life path. I can't speak highly enough about it. I really can't.
One last question on that note, just looking at the future of martial arts, because in the last 10 years, mixed martial arts and the interest in martial arts in this country has really grown.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going?